Hey Moon lovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones. This is take 3, a little out of practice, been having lots of rest time and I've been squirreling away here, plotting the future, creating lots of exciting plans. But this is a full moon in Cancer. Even though the sun is in Capricorn at this time, it's the new year according to the calendar anyway in the Western world. It's not actually officially New Year until 17th of February in the Chinese New Year, and all kinds of other different times that we can consider it to be a new year. I never really feel like it's New Year until about April when the spring flowers appear. But at this time, there can be a lot of pressure on us to forge ahead, make new resolutions, take action. It's Capricorn, so we need to set our goals to achieve for the year. But right on the 3rd of January at 2 minutes past 10 this morning in the UK, the moon was full and illuminated in the sign of Cancer. So in this episode, we're going to have a look at what that means and what that intuitively means to me as well. Because, we can listen to lots and lots of episodes, astrology episodes, where we're all talking about the same things. The moon is at 13 degrees of Cancer and the sun is at 13 degrees of Capricorn. The sun has got Venus at 12 degrees and Mars at 14 degrees. So we can all talk about that. But really, it's our own individual intuitive, instinctive hit on it that is why you would decide to go to one or the other. So we're going to dig into that in a little while. But before we do, one of my little resolutions for myself is to remember to ask you to please press the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. You wouldn't believe what a difference that makes to help to grow this channel and to get the message out to more people. Obviously, sitting here preparing all of this information to share with you for free. And then this evening, I'll have an online live moon ceremony where I've prepared even more in-depth information, meditations, journaling prompts. I give you crystals and herbs and spells and potions and ways to support yourself. I've now included a full moon and new moon workbooks that I put together, so you can download that, you can print that out, you can hold your own personal moon ceremony. Within that workbook, there is a link that takes you to a yoga session, which will help to support you during this moon phase. So I am really, really giving, but I really need to receive as well. So if you can help me with that by pressing the subscribe button, by sharing, so many people have shared for me today. My heart is really full of gratitude today for how many people have shared my posts out on social media. I've doubled the amount of people that are coming. I've doubled the amount of workbooks that I've sold already. So I'm super excited about what this year has to bring. So yes, so if you know your rising sign, in the workbook, you'll see exactly where this full moon is going to show up for you, which house area of your chart it will show up in. And if you join me on live tonight online at 8 p.m, that's UK time, we meet on Zoom. So you'd go to my website, you'd click in, and I've done it as a pay what you want event this time. So if you're feeling a little bit tight after Christmas, you've spent all your money, then you can pay as little as £1 to join me this evening so that you can see what happens, and you can come inside that safe, secure and intimate container with other moon lovers seeking some connection, and we'll all do some ceremony and ritual meditation and journaling together. There'll be oracle cards and conversation. So we'll look at your personally, I will look at everybody's rising sign to see which house that's going to be showing up for you this evening. So in the meantime, if all you want to do is listen, I will try and give you as much information as I can in the short time that we have here together. So the moon is at 13 degrees again. This is a 4th supermoon in a row. Amazing that all these moons are, and these full moons are happening at 13 degrees of their sign, which means the sun is at 13 degrees of the sign. So it's kind of like a bit of a standstill, the moon. Even though the moon and the sun is continuously moving, they're not moving they're not moving away. They're staying in the same proximity, if you like, to the earth. And so this 13 degrees must mean something. And if you join me tonight, we'll be looking at the symbology of that 13 degrees of the sign of Cancer. So as I said, the Capricorn energy wants us to forge forwards, but the Cancer energy wants us to come home to ourselves. The moon is at home. She's in her domicile here in the sign of Cancer. So the moon only rules one sign, and that is the sign of Cancer. The sun only rules one sign, that's the sign of Leo. So we have the sun in the opposite sign, which is what makes it a full moon. So the sun is completely shining on the moon, fully illuminating her in all her glory. And she is next to Jupiter as well. So Jupiter expands whatever it's near. So it really is a beautiful celestial visual out there at the moment. The sky is so clear here. I walked home last night from being out for a little drinky poos with my best Aquarian friend, and on the way home I just couldn't help staring. It's a wonder I didn't trip up because I was staring at the sky because it was so clear. You could see the moon with Jupiter right next to her, Castor and Pollux, Orion's belt. It was just simply gorgeous. The moon being at home in the sign of Cancer, the moon represents our inner world, our unconscious, our emotions. Where the moon shows up in our chart is where we're going to feel most secure. So whatever house area and whatever sign that's in is going to give you a good idea of what you need to feel safe and secure. But Cancerians, they need to feel emotionally secure. They need to feel like they're in a home. So for me, I can make it feel homely wherever I am. It's really important for me that I feel comfortable and homely. So whether I'm away in the camper van, which is what I did over Christmas, I escaped Christmas completely, and we took the camper van to the woods, and we just didn't do Christmas at all. We didn't spend any money on Christmas presents. And we made a fire. We did pop to the pub, so we did see some humans. But we went for walks and, get some good food, watch some stuff on our iPad I think we watched an episode of Stranger Things. How on Christmas is that? We don't normally watch TV, so it was a bit of a treat. Just having some of my lovely cacao there. If you're listening to the audio, I'm just having a sip of my cacao. So yeah, the moon. Think of Selene or Luna, the moon goddesses, at home in their fullest expression in their celestial palaces. So when we are feeling at home, we feel safe, we feel secure, and we can be our fullest expression. Yeah. And that is what this moon, to me, is really wanting us to experience. Coming home for a pure dose of nurturing the need to be mothered, or the need to mother, which is something I'll be talking about later on this evening. Um, that need to mother somebody, and how maybe that isn't always a good thing, but that's a subject for later on. I want to keep this nice and light today because the moon is about our emotions. The moon is full, it's in the sign of Cancer. Those sensitive emotional tears could be coming out right now. It could be a very emotional time. Although Cancerians are very sensitive, they can also be very crabby. Depending on the rest of their chart, depends on how hard a shell they're going to form to protect themselves. But Cancerians will form a shell to protect themselves from being seen to be vulnerable, from feeling vulnerable. But when you crack their shell, they are soft and super sensitive on the inside, and the waters flow. They're very protective, in that mothering kind of way. This moon is also known as the wolf moon. So this moon in Native American culture is known as the wolf moon because it's when the wolves would be outside in their packs, protecting their territory and howling at the moon. So that protective wolf pack energy could really come up during this full moon as well. And obviously, I highly recommend howling at the moon. So if you've got anything that you need to howl about, then please take this opportunity to do it. So even if you can't do it out loud, just do it in your mind, that big howl. Or maybe bring up, I found a little story on Instagram that I shared earlier. So if you go to my Instagram account, which is All Things Moon Kelly, Kellie, look at my stories and you'll see this amazing, I think it was a Wild Woman Sisterhood official that I shared it with from, and it's a moon, the wolf howling at the moon. Get my words together. You can tell I'm out of practice. And I've just been a little bit relaxed and lazy in my home, feeling some self-nurturing. Okay, so as I mentioned, Jupiter is right next to the moon because Jupiter is still traveling through the sign of Cancer. She's been there since June and she'll be there until June of this year, so the end of June 2026. At the moment, Jupiter is retrograde, so she's traveling sort of backwards, if you like, so going back over things. And Jupiter is in her exaltation. So it's not her home, but she is exalted here. So it's like being in your best friend's home. Or what I could equate it to is just recently, just in this past week, it's been a very emotional time. I've spent some time with my family, not because of Christmas, but because my mum, who lives in Australia, has finally given up her home in this country, which was a lovely, homely sanctuary for me. It was a caravan on a park, a park home here in the UK, in Essex, next to the water. And it is a place where when I felt overwhelmed in need of nurturing myself, I would go to my mum's home over by the water. And my mum's just given that up because, they're not using it like there was. Nobody is using it as much. The family, my nieces are older now, so they don't need it for holidays and stuff. So it's gone. It's gone. We emptied it out. And so that is something that has been a really emotional day. I felt this energy of this moon on that day when I went to hand the keys in, and I can feel that energy coming up in me right now. So maybe a few tears are yet to be shed. When I handed those keys back and emptying it out, it brought back a feeling of when I was clearing my dad's house out after he died. My mum hasn't died. She's still very much alive, tap dancing and dancing her way around the gym in Australia there. She's still super lively, but it's just a little home here. And it was, kind of cathartic as well, going through old stuff, getting rid of old stuff. I've still got a carload of things to drop off to the charity shop, which I've got to do this afternoon so that my car is emptied out. But anyway, that is kind of what this sense of home and what Jupiter can expand that emotion around that feeling. Currently, if you know your own birth chart, you can look to see where all of this is. And if you don't know your birth chart, I am an astrologer, professional astrologer. And if you go to my website, you can book a reading with me. We can have a look to see what's coming up for you for 2026, what's coming up around January, if you just want to focus on this month. We can just do a moon reading focused just on your moon. We can just do a little mini reading just on your Venus. So go and check all of that out. But I know when I look at my chart, I can see that Jupiter is hanging out over my natal Mars. So if you see where Jupiter is currently, if you put my chart in there, you can see that Jupiter is exactly over my natal Mars. So Mars is, that motivation, fired up, revved up, action orientated planet. The courage is being expanded right now. So coming back out into the world to see everybody, putting myself back on social media feels, much more comfortable to me right now than it might have done a few weeks ago. With Jupiter being over my Mars, Mars is in my 8th house. So that's the house of death, rebirth, and transformation. So you can see where it's the death of something, the end of something, the saying goodbye to something. But it's also, for me, really motivating me to have the transformation that I have been needing. I have been plotting and planning a whole transformation of my identity. So keep watching, because I really feel every now and again, I suddenly just have a change of branding and of identity, and my hair and my clothes and all sorts, because, I grew up on stage in theatre wearing different costumes, playing different parts. And that is me being my true expression of myself. If I don't do that, I'm not being true me. Yeah, I'm not being true me, and I'm really feeling motivated to do that. So this is a full and voluptuous moon, and it's right over my sun. So you've got Jupiter over my Mars, and you've got the moon over my sun. So I really feel like the universe is on my side right now. And so I'm really appreciating that feeling today, making the most of it, coming out to see you all. Wherever this moon is falling for you, you can be sure that the Jupiter energy is teaching you something about the bigger picture of your life in whatever area it's in. Jupiter is the teacher, it's the philosopher, it's the big picture. Yeah. So with the moon being full and Jupiter being alongside it, take on board all of those ideas and sit with that this evening and see where this is, where you're intuitively feeling it, because the moon is our intuition. I also realised that this Jupiter expansion at this full moon just after Christmas and New Year could also be felt in our stomachs, because Cancer rules the stomach and the digestive system. So, post festivities, doing less physical exercises, maybe those family dynamics and emotions that come with family stuff and family time, the financial pressure that it might bring to you, could all be highlighted right now and could be felt in our digestive systems. So in the workbook that I've put together, there's a link in there that takes you straight to a little YouTube video that you can't find unless you've got the link. And that is just to help you have that feeling of coming home to yourself, regulating your nervous system, but ultimately coming into that rest and digest to help your digestive system. So there's just a few yoga poses. There's a little oracle card reading in there as well for you. My strongest intuition, though, around this moon bearing in mind that the moon is a ruler of Cancer, and it's that need to feel safe, secure, that sense of belonging, a craving for kind of small and intimate sanctuaries with other women from your pack, from the wolf pack. That will be really high right now. And I think actually this year, we're really going to sense that. We're really going to crave that. Cancer is connected to the fourth house of home and family. The moon in our charts shows us where we need to feel emotionally secure. So, if you're a Taurus, and this is in your second house maybe, then material possessions might be what you need to feel more secure and safe. So if you're surrounded by people who are telling you to be minimalist and to live with nothing, and that money isn't important, remember, money is just energy. Possessions are just energy. And what energy do you need to feel safe and secure? It might be really bad for you to be minimalist. So this is why it's really useful to know where our moon is, where our sun is, what our rising sign is. So we know where the moon is going to be showing up in our charts. I know with my moon being in Virgo in the 10th house of career, that I need to be of service in my career and have a career that is of service to feel secure. The past few years when my career has not really been at the forefront of things, it was for a very long time. And then I had a Pilates and yoga studio that I sold. And, I went through menopause, I went through lots of grief, I went through emergency surgery, all kinds of things. And so, me come first, my career came second. But the thing that was really missing for me is that being of service. I need that. No, I crave that. I have to allow myself to have it. And you being here, helping to like, subscribe and share, and, coming to my events, purchasing the workbook, that is helping me to feel secure, because that is where my moon is. I need to be of service to you, to be giving and equally receiving, to have that sense of security. So regulating our nervous systems, cultivating a deep sense of security in our physical body. The moon represents our earthly body. It's where we start to trust into a new, more authentic identity. Our bodies sense danger before our minds do. This is when we start to sabotage our efforts, and it's probably why our New Year's resolutions rarely ever stick. Because as soon as we feel danger, so for instance, if somebody is losing weight and then one of their friends gets jealous, that feels dangerous in the body. And then all those little unconscious saboteurs will kick in and we will sabotage our efforts. The moon is our unconscious mind. When she's illuminated in her home, when she feels safe and secure, then she can start to ask herself, who am I being? And how can I feel safe being my true self? So bearing in mind that we've got Venus, 12 degrees of Capricorn, we've got Mars 14 degrees, the Sun 13 degrees, all conjunct each other. We're having a Mars cazimi, a Venus cazimi. So the rebirth of Mars, the rebirth of Venus, all in the achieving sign, the goal-orientated sign of Capricorn. It's still a feminine sign. That really says to me, courageous, heart-centered action. Finding our courageous, heart-centered, intimate sanctuaries. This year coming up is going to be bringing us a lot of fire and air energy as the eclipse axis moves into Aquarius and Leo. Aquarius, air, Leo, fire. So again, that to me, again, is this heart-centered community. Yeah, that's why we'll be craving that. The Chinese New Year of the Fire Horse on the 17th of February begins exactly on the same day as an eclipse in Aquarius. Air, fire. Yeah. Also in the same week, so I think that's the 17th of February, the 20th of February, we've got Saturn and Neptune meeting, conjuncting at the beginning of the zodiac story at 0 degrees Aries, fire. I really think this is all going to rev up this seeking of community and building a heart-centered dream together. So you can find out more about that if you join me online. Please go download the workbook and hold your own ceremony. I'm just going to pull us a little oracle card before I sign off, because I always aim for 15 minutes and it's always 30. So I do my best for 15, but 30-minute podcasts are what I do best. And that is okay. So what does the oracle want us to know? So I pulled an oracle card yesterday when I was recording the yoga session, and that was to nourish ourselves. So these are the Return to Love oracle by a lovely girl from Copenhagen called Zoe Johansson. I'm not sure that you can get these cards anymore. I've had them for a long time, but they're self-love cards. And maybe we're not wanting to know what the oracle. Here we go. So where we were talking about air, this is an oracle card for those of you on audio. This oracle card with a picture of a feather on it, and it says signs. Listen, you are always being guided. So go within. The moon and Cancer are very strongly connected to our intuition. That is where we will get those signs from. So let me just see what it's got to say in the little book if we need to know any more. Guidance is everywhere, both within and without. You've got your own internal guidance, and what I like to do is to help to guide you to trust your own guidance system. Yep, I can't tell you which direction to go in. All I can do is create a safe sanctuary and some guidance for you to find out your own way. Yep. Okay. By staying open, by listening, by quieting down your mind, you will feel it, recognize it, and receive it. Okay. So I think I'm going to leave it there, and just, remember that this year I'm going to be focused on creating a safe, supportive sanctuary for us to come to, where we can tend to our needs, to our nervous systems, and even co-create our new identities together. So I hope to see you later. Full moon blessings. Please press like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you all next week.